Right on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Chasing Laughter, episode number 5. Our guest today, the one, the only, Reagan Slee. How are you, buddy?
I'm good.
I really, really appreciate you taking time. I know how busy you are just with the business, life in general, right?
Right.
So it's
Life. It's good. It's good to be busy.
It is good to be busy, especially, idle hands, right? What do you do with your time when you have idle hands?
During the summer, I like to go hiking. Yeah, it's kind of super therapeutic. They'll go out in mountains and, it's got kind of like going to the gym. You get to burn it off and get rid of whatever's bothering you and look around and be reminded how small you really are.
How small we truly, truly are.
Right. Yep. That's a big one. I love golf. I've taken that up in maybe the last 5 years or 6 years now. Yeah, I've got the bug for that.
I talk to a lot of golfers, and there's something about like the purity of a sport, especially in this era of watered down sports, right? Like growing up as a kid, watching football, and now watching football in this era they're still throwing a ball. But like the rawness, the ruggedness of that sport, and CTE is a real thing, right? The head injury stuff, but
Right.
it is watered down. Same with basketball. You know what I mean? Growing up watching Jordan, watching Bill Laimbeer, watching the Detroit Bad Boys. If you're trying to drive to the rack and dunk or layup, they would mug you and like legitly like grab you, and the video clips of having Jordan thrown to the ground or Larry Bird just get punched, you know what I mean, on his way up to the hoop. And you can't even do anything like that these days. It's all step back free. So those are hard sports for me to watch, but the purity of golf will always be golf.
Yeah.
Right.
And I usually, if I'm going to watch it, it's nap time, Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
No, for sure. And
But dude, the talent that it takes for those guys, and you really don't realize why they get paid,
Yeah.
They get paid because of the consistency, what they perform. It's insane.
it is.
And because if you go out there and you try it, you're like, whoa, this is hard.
Yeah.
But that's why we like to do it, because number one, it's hard.
Yes.
It takes tons of focus. You can't really do anything else except think about what you're doing.
It's you against yourself.
You and you against yourself, and it can't be won.
Right.
It can't be won. Right? You could get good at it, but you can't beat it.
There's the tour players who catch fire and they win a championship here, and they have that 1 year, 2 year stretch, and then they just go away.
Yeah.
It's not that they're any worse.
No.
Something happened.
Yeah, they went through some life trauma or something happened, or who knows, they got something that made his kid sick or something like that, and it's in their head.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to focus, and yeah.
Golf, I have got my clubs out. I've been to the range. I bought tees. I have my shoes. I bought a case of balls. I just haven't played. And it's all the mental thing. It's just like, fuck, dude, do I really want to go out there and embarrass myself? And like, what's so embarrassing about it? Because that's the best part. I'm going into my head when I played with people who throw clubs or something like that. And I'm just thinking like, what makes you think you're that good?
Right.
But you're just a silly pants.
Right. So, and that's the true game. With inside the game, it's a head game.
It is.
Right.
Right.
And it's all about because you're gonna have bad shots, and the more bad shots you have, it's like a test of emotional maturity, or like you can handle that or you can't.
I'm walking through yips on my drive,
and I'm guilty, dude. I get mad and I get frustrated, but a good reset. He stopped. He did not talk.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's around it.
It's a rough life.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And then you have your next miraculous birdie.
Right.
Your next shot too. But it's a reminder of how much your head plays into that game.
I'm walking through these yips that I have on the driver, so I can't hit my driver further than 250 right now, which is it's kind of good, but I used to be a little bit further, and it's not consistent. So then I go to my hybrid and still get it 200 plus, go to my high irons, you know what I mean? Everything else was on point, but I don't know what it is about my drive swing that I just can't connect.
Have one of those old guys out there sit behind you.
I've lapped at Tawny, and I do great in front of Tawny. And this was the last time I was into golf, which is about 5 years ago. and then like it doesn't translate, and that's that game.
Yeah, but it is, but that's the fun of it, right? And that it's hard,
Yeah.
right?
The other pure sport that I watch, I've talked about on the podcast, is baseball. I love baseball.
Yeah.
It's a dude with a round ball throwing at a dude with a round bat,
Right.
and there's not a whole lot.
I'm not been a huge baseball fan. I played when I was a kid. Did some stuff.
Yeah.
I obviously will watch and root for the Dodgers if they make it to the playoffs or this or that. You know, like I'll join the crowd
Sure.
and enjoy it. And but I'll be honest with you, like, but I took my kids to a Padres game one day. I was in San Diego and they loved it. It was like, oh, this is cool. And then it's definitely way more intense and exciting than watching it on a box, you know, but that's like anything in life. And we're so trained now to just stare at these boxes.
There's screen. Like, oh, a magical screen. My the questions I have for you are on this magical screen. Right? Can you imagine taking one of these back to somebody in like, I don't even like or any time when there was witches? You would be like certified witch. You had magic. You would be burnt at the stake for just possessing a phone.
Oh, dude, you would be a wizard, a bad wizard.
You would be the devil himself.
Well, you know, I'm not quite convinced it's not the devil itself. You know,
Screen time and children, like they're coming, through a couple full generations of kids who are on screen time, and the anxiety that comes with social media. Right. You know what I mean? And in the bully, like all of it's so unobtainable to maintain that presence of awesomeness.
Well, you've been through it, right? Yeah. You know, the butt hurt, right? You know that, and
we've never talked about it,
right?
Leaving,
but like the attractiveness of like the chaos. It's like, and it's funny, but it's not. It's sad. It's unfortunate because there's so much anger and hatred and different things out there. Right. It's so easy to sit there and go,
yep.
Right?
Right.
Because there's no consequence. Right? Because like, you know, we grew up before these and you get punched in the mouth. You get popped in the face, right? But there's none of that anymore. But it's like, wow, you know, and people are afraid to like say what's right or this or that because it seems like the loudest voices are always the most frustrated ones, the most
there's a couple of those people who are constantly on that site, you know. Yeah. And it's just like, in all honesty, after I would calm down, I would just, I would pray for them. Like,
that's the key right there.
I would legitly just be like, I don't know what is going on in their life, but like to lash out me irrationally over something I don't really have control of.
Right.
And then, tell me they're going to come beat me up. And I'm just like, okay, dude, like that's
you hit the nail on the head. It's like to be able to train be able to trust and understand like the empathy, what those people are going through. Yeah. There's a reason so miserable. Right. There's a reason. Yeah. Right. And it's unfortunate, but especially like you going through this journey that I've been watching you, like the first thing you realize is like, okay, wow, empathy, right, is huge. It's huge, right? Because you're like, oh, wow. Ooh, because you have some hard truth, right? Yeah. Right? Some internal truth that you're like, whoa, I gotta like, if I want to be better, I have to grow, I have to learn. That means I've been making a lot of mistakes or this or that.
Right.
And it
causes this first person you have to forgive is yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you got to work on forgiving everybody, everything.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
And then you go on to this like super cool empathy, but awareness.
Right.
Right. You're super aware and you're like,
because my life is complex
and it's a more of a, you just want help.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's all I want to do is like, I've always been a help for my entire life, but like, it's, the complexity of my life is just as complex, if not as complex as everyone else that walks by me.
Oh yeah. Everybody's going through their own story. Yeah. We all have our seasons. We have our seasons, just like winter, summer, spring, and fall,
right?
We all have that in our lives. And you don't know where somebody's at. They might be top of the world summer, enjoying margaritas on the beach, or they might be going through the blizzard ever, right? And you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's eye-opening, but you almost have to go through some stuff to realize that and understand that and grow. And
all the best people I know have been through, their lives aren't the best.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Some stuff.
Like some deep, crazy,
horrible
instances and it's just character. It just keeps building your character. Either you're going to give up, you're going to give into basically the evil that is trying to encompass you, or you're going to continue to shine, right, and weather that storm, and realize that if, as long as you put one foot in front of the other, you know what I mean, and
Lean in and trust
that's it.
and understand it.
It's hard to talk about God on the podcast, right?
Well, it's not.
Or really,
It really is. Not for me.
it's not for just either, because the people. It's important to talk about who we are and why we are that way, and it is my foundation growing up in a Christian family.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like some of my friends are like, you pray to sky, sky G, and it's just like, no, I don't. Like, Jesus was a man, right? He was here. So he was very young. He was very, very gifted. He was very, very special, and taught people in ways that the world hadn't seen in that sector. You know what I mean? And you have all those other people throughout the ages, throughout the histories, who were people that were doing things differently. And you know what I mean? And like, there's so many reasons to have spirituality and to believe in.
Different, but similar.
Right.
Like we have now cell phones, but then, like, who knows what chaos was there at that time. But at the same time, like, the true purpose in having that faith,
Yes.
that you aren't God,
Right.
and you better submit, or you have a really rude awakening,
Right.
because
Right.
play God for a while and see how that works out.
It just, it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't.
And when you go out on those hikes and walk around in the mountains, and you look around and you're like, wow, this is a big, big place, and I'm a really small person, and this thing, then it has happened. So either what I hear the other day, like, so either nothing created it, or a God created it.
Still something.
Right? But
Consciousness itself.
no, God or nothing. Which one sounds crazy?
Right.
Nothing?
Right. Nothing.
Okay.
For sure.
Right. Like, it's kind of cut and dry for me.
For sure.
Like, and, it's just, it's kind of that path of that journey that we were talking about, the growth and trying to be better. And
even atheists, you believe in something, and something is nothing, right? And a lot of the people who aren't really like mainstream religious, they're still believing in something, even if it's their prayers are to the universe itself, right? Because they are still believing in that higher power of that universe,
right.
or it's consciousness. You know what I mean? Consciousness, in a way, equates to boiling back down to God.
Right.
The first thing, the only thing.
And if you don't have that higher purpose, something greater than you, you're in trouble.
We will be in big trouble. There was a funny little quote that came through that I wanted to where did it go? Was it Instagram? It could have been Instagram. It says, you are, come back here. You're a ghost driving a meat-coated skeleton made from stardust, riding on a rock, hurling through space. Fear nothing.
Right. Right. And it's like, kind of like
where's the soul? So if I started cutting parts of you off, right, and I cut your hand off, is that you? Right. Did you stay alive? Like, at what point in time do I remove something from you to where you're still encompassing that small piece or the larger pieces, right? That's where I think spirit is, the spirit, the consciousness that we are. I don't know if there is a time to where you can cut something away to say, okay, now that's a complete me over there, right? It's that host. It's us. It's what we encompass. And right now, what we are is literally a ghost locked into a meat skeleton, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, we definitely.
Isn't that such a crazy thought?
Well, yeah, and it's real, and it's good, and that's the whole questioning everything, right? To try to find answers, to try to find purpose, right?
And drive you insane.
Right. But when you dig deep enough and you want the truth, you'll find the truth.
Oh, for sure.
And the truth will always lead you to the same place.
It does.
Right?
It does.
Where does the definition of the truth come from?
The from God consciousness itself.
Yeah.
From the beginning. From the
Bible.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, well, what's the opposite of truth?
Lies.
Right. So the devil's a liar. So find the truth, find the lies, find something, but you're gonna end up, if you really want the answers, you both find the answers. And I think Johnny Cash had a song once, like, you'll end up in the same place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's good. But you have to almost go through that, where, like for me, it was like life is butterflies and rainbows, and I'm in charge, and I can run around and do whatever I'm going to do, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And, and then all of a sudden you're like hitting goals and you're doing things, and you're like, man, something's still missing.
Yeah.
And then you get slapped upside the head. Life hits you,
Right.
Tragedy, something rough, something. And then you go, okay, wow, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way wrong. Let's reevaluate this whole thing. And then you start asking those questions and start to get those answers.
What was the moment that changed for you in your direction? I can pin mine down, obviously, because it was addiction.
I think for me, it was divorce. Like waking up one day and your wife that, like you
Built your family.
yeah, and she's like, hey, I got 1 foot in and I'm 1 foot out. And I'm like,
Feel you, bro.
I'll kill you. All right. Well, I think I'm going to figure this out. Like, I'm going to try to figure this out, And I think that was the moment when I was like really, truly seeking answers, but also growing, learning, because
There's some hard truths in that.
oh yeah, really hard truths, and how screwed up you really are, right? But you have to admit that.
Bro, but you gotta know for underwear, dog.
Underwear,
So, I know. I was going to work. I took a shower in the morning, and I left my cousins in the bathroom. And so I'm like, all right, honey, I'm leaving. She's like, okay, bye. And then I had to come back in because I forgot something. And when I came back in, I looked down the hallway, and the underwear went out the door. And I was just like, son of a bitch, my bad. And I went and I grabbed them, and then that kind of led into why did I react that way? And it could have been misconstrued. There's a lot of misconstrued. Right. We couldn't be on the same page because we were, I was becoming a different person. Amanda was becoming a different person, a better person. And we were, we just kind of started to grow apart. And that was the catalyst, was my underwear being left into the bathroom.
And I mean, there's
that took us down a long line of both of us making failures to why it did work, and better friends today than we've ever been.
But then growing from that and learning and understanding, but then also trusting that it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's okay for those things not to work, because you have to go through that storm to get to the spring, to get to the summer. Right. You gotta, but if you don't learn anything from it, then it was all for no good.
For sure. And like in the history of breakups, you know what I mean, and separations, I don't know if there could have been a better scenario than what me and Amanda have right now, right? Because we're still like, I love her still to this day, and I was working to become the person who I am today, and she congratulates me on all of my victories as right, and supports me through everything that I do, and I value her so hard in my life. But without that push, right? Without becoming 100% uncomfortable and not having a home to go home to.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like the best thing that ever happened to me in life was that divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So that being I said, right? Because that person made you. Well, yeah, but no, it wasn't at the time. At the time, it was the worst thing. But then that hardship led me to search for truth, which led me to giving my heart to Christ.
Nice.
Which ultimately was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Right.
And the rebirth.
Right.
Like
a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Right. It's real.
It is real.
Yeah.
So you own a business here, dog.
Yeah.
Yes, 2012.
Yep. Opened 2012.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's 13 years deep. Lucky number 13.
Yep. Yeah.
That's wild. What, like, I really have to just tell you how inspiring you've always been to me, because I've known you my whole life. I've known you when you were working at Max. You know what I mean? Yeah, and as a
You got hired at Man. You're like 15. Yeah, I think I was 14 or 15.
and you were like, I'm gonna have a sporting goods store.
I just so wanted to buy Max like no other.
I remember those words from, this young man and I was just like, yeah, that's I'm not even thinking about what I'm gonna do in my future at that.
I told all my teachers in high school, and like they're like they're like, dude, you're a problem child. Like, ooh, you can't do this. I said, well, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna go into sporting goods. Like, I don't need a college education,
Right.
this and that. Like,
Right.
I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do. But I was super driven and focused, right? But the dreams don't come together exactly how you plan it.
Right.
But I never lost the dream,
Right.
where I think a lot of people lose the dream
For sure.
or it gets pulled or separated or lost. But yeah, it was kind of always there, right? Always there. And the doors open and it happened.
And the reason was it because you and Dale couldn't come to an agreement on purchase?
Yeah, I think timing was a little bit off.
Sure.
Dale and I are still good. Of course, we still talk.
Yeah.
I mean, he just bought a couple shotguns from me, like, recently. It was not that long ago before I stopped selling guns.
Mm-hmm.
We're on good terms and it's all good. But like, I think what happened is, so I was working at Coca-Cola at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was trying to get out of that situation because I wasn't happy. It was just like a job. Yeah, it was, but I was just like beating my head against the wall, none of those things. And I was trying to buy from Max, like from Dale, like, hey dude, I'll just come work for you. Like, we'll like you carry papers, let's do it, let's work it out. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, okay, cool. We got this show coming up. I was like, let's go to the show. He's like, okay, good. Well, long story short, he didn't make the show, canceled on me because he went to Mexico deer hunting. No hard feelings, like everything happens for a reason. It's all good, But he ended up, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like my uncle or somebody. Oh yes, no, this is exactly what happened. I went and stopped by and talked to my uncle John, who owns Giant Mufflers down at Tito owns that, right? So I would talk to my uncle John, and I'm like, yeah, I was frustrated. I wanted to buy this place, but he's like, well, that Napa building's available. I was like, really? He says, yeah, I heard it's going out of business. You should go down there. I was like, okay. So I walked in there, drove down and walked in there and talked to the guy. His name was Dennis Hartman.
Yeah.
He owned the Napa here.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, can I rent this building? Or like, he's like, I can't rent it to you, but I'll sell it to you. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have any money. He goes, well, give me an offer. I was like, all right. Yeah, give me a day and I'll come up with something. I went back, went to my mom and my sister and was like, hey, can I borrow some money? And I borrowed X amount and like went and offered him like $50,000 for the building. He said, well, I can't do 50, but I'll sell it to you for 55. Well, I don't know if you know how the DWP thing works, the leases.
Right.
So I own the building, but they own the land. So it's like the big red horse state, right? That's why it's sitting there empty, whatever. The vet hospital, on and on and on. So they couldn't show any value to the building because
The lease.
yeah, well, no, to the building, the actual building,
Right.
because in order for them to transfer the lease, there had to be no value of exchange. It had to be like real basic, real cut and dry. So it was like, all right, well, yeah, cool. So I bought the building for like $55,000. Today it's worth nothing. You know what I mean? Because it's still DWP. Oh, is the land DWP? Yeah. Oh, but and I don't have a lease, but they're not kicking me out. I love DWP. I think they're the greatest thing that ever happened to this valley and everything.
Ellie, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'd be looking like Costco and Outbacks everywhere. One of those thing and Chili's.
Brent Wallace changed my attitude towards DWV when I was a kid, telling me it was a necessary evil because you grew up here. You heard all those rumors like, oh, DWP did this and they're stealing that, and they did steal all the water, and that all those things are true. But if that hadn't happened, it would be houses and commerce we all off from wall to wall all the way down the valley. This is where the water is.
We can all play victim and be like, well, what could have or what should have or this or that. But at the end of the day, we are left with what we got.
Yeah.
And
A ton of Westland.
like they've done, like at the end of the day, like this is home.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Where else in the world you have 98.8% public land and everywhere, and you could walk there in a circle and go anywhere you want.
Right.
Right? And that's because
DWP.
Yeah. That. So anyway, I don't want any hard feelings there. It's like, it's been good, DWP, good landlords and everything. But so I own this building that I can't sell. I own this business that I can't sell. It's all good. You know, at the end of the day, I'm pretty grateful and I'm blessed that I have the opportunity to live out my dream and work in the sporting goods. But see, that was like back to purpose, like that. I thought that was my purpose in life. But after soul searching and truth finding and realizing what my real purpose in life is, you know,
that must be a you know, something that I haven't ran into in my life is hitting you know, the goal that you've had as a kid.
Right. I mean, I hit almost all my goals and it was a weird place.
And then what?
Well, that's what I realized.
And then what?
Well, that's what I realized. Like, I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be successful. I'm supposed to be this. So I was like, what is the definition of that? Like my teachers and my peers and society tells you that you got to go make a bunch of money and have a nice house and have kids and then you're good to go.
Yeah. And then you're still.
Yeah. Right, dude, that's the American dream, whatever, blah, blah. Check that one. Right. Check. No, it's a little harder than that. It's a little bit more, you know, intense.
Being that problem, I just got to bring this up because when I was working for the school, there was a problem child, and he's the greatest kid. How I met that kid was when I worked at the fairgrounds, and I was putting sandbags in a flooded area, and he just rode up on his bike in the summertime and
started helping you.
Yeah, 100%. Best kid in the world. Free kid, and he is a handful in school. And he was like, I don't need to learn all this. I'm going to be a bull rider.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And he's riding bulls. That was 4 years ago. And he's winning buckles now.
I love it.
Right.
You know, but see that, but that's frowned upon, but not to me.
Not to me.
Like, I'm like, you know, and
I'm so proud.
Yeah. Because, you know, we're not all cookie cutter, and we all sit in that desk in that place and this and that. And it works great for a lot of people, but it doesn't really work good, especially for the guys that have, whatever the doctor said, I got 80 of them HDs, ADHDs. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to focus on things you don't want to focus on. Yes. Right. But if you want to focus on something you want to focus on, it's a future power. Yeah. Like, power through it. Right.
It is that whole business side of things. You know, I'm going through it right now to where I put in my 2 weeks at the dispensary.
Yeah.
And my last day is Sunday, and I don't have a job right now.
Dude, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
No. Dude, like, what are you going to do? That's what you're going to be asked. No, dude, it's going to be good.
It's going, because no matter what it is, I know I'm going to be awesome at it.
And at the end of the day, you're in this place where you kind of like, it's put up or shut up.
I have a lot of opportunity. I'm so blessed.
Right.
So blessed. Right. So many different styles of opportunity.
I love it.
Right. It's just, you know, when, oh man, it's a lot.
It's exciting.
It's exciting. Right.
And if you're not scared or if you're not nervous, then like at the end of the day, like the biggest risk I ever did was opening that business. Like,
gambling on yourself.
Dude, I'm like, Mom, Dad, like I was by this building. They're like, oh my God, he's been still talking about this Fording this, or here, we'll give him some money. It'll be done. At least we won't have to deal with that anymore. 13 years later, bro. 10 years later, we're still going. We're still knocking up, you know, business is terrible right now. It's super slow. Economy's rough. But at the same time, you know, I've been blessed and I was not done with the business. And I think I made some good financial decisions and tried to weather the storm, you know what I mean?
But COVID, it had to have a massive impact.
It was kind of an opposite effect. So we yes, because think about it. Everybody was off. Nobody was working and everybody was getting fake money.
What are you gonna do? Let's call it.
Dude,
I remember how busy it was.
we were busier than we ever were. But the whole time I'm like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Like, you guys know this isn't free, right? Like, this money isn't free. Like, we're gonna have to pay for it. Well, now we're paying for it. Oh, right, sure, right? So we went through that crazy time. And I'm glad to say, like, at the end of the day, I didn't get any stimulus money. I didn't get any PPP. I didn't do anything. And a lot of people did. And I feel bad for some of those people that went under in business because that was a rough time. And then here I am saying how great it was, and it's rough. But at the same time, that's the truth.
You were the industry where it was okay. The cannabis industry,
Where they died, recreation, and we were in the
cannabis industry in the world thrived during that.
right.
It was deemed what was it if you were
Essential.
yeah, you as essential. It was an essential business, right? And
I remember that day.
that industry thrived. Cannabis shops were open. You can go outside, you can buy sporting goods, and you can go out, get your reefer, and go out in the valley and do great things.
I think Eric, my brother-in-law, is the undersheriff.
Mm.
And Gavin Newsom's like on the TV, like, 2 weeks, we're gonna shut down 2 weeks. What was the curve? Slow the curve, right? Like, 2 weeks, we're gonna shut down, and I went, but if you're essential or non-essential, and I'm like, so I picked up the phone, I called Eric, I'm like, dude, I'm going to work tomorrow. I don't care what anybody says. And basically, you're going to have to pry me out of there.
Yeah.
So if anybody asks, you tell them.
Right. That's what it is.
And I showed up. Luckily, firearms were essential at that time. But now, if they were to shut me down, I'm like, well, I got power, baby. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, but I would still go fight tooth and nail. But yeah, it was a rough, weird time.
It was, dude, I remember driving to work, and that was when it was smoky, right? It was some
Super hot and smoky.
and I would drive I was working at the dump, you know what I mean? And it was so apocalyptic because of all the smoke, because of the sun rising, and no one on the road.
No one.
But the dump was, I mean, I've seen 200.
You could roll a bowling ball down the street.
Yeah.
But see, I showed up, and it was like everybody thought the end of the world was coming, so they're all like panicking, buying guns. That was all these people that have never owned a gun. They were freaking out. Like, I hate guns, but I want a gun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like,
No, I need it.
constant.
No.
Every day, all day.
Pulling up in a Prius.
We were like AR. We were like pushing them out the door when we closed, and they were waiting for us when we got there.
Yeah.
For like 2 years straight.
That's so crazy.
And that, yeah, it was a wild time. And Jeff, bless Jeff, my best friend, my dude, him and Mike, my other best friend, they both work for me. I'm lucky I get two best friends, and you get to work with them both, but they both were working with me at the time. And the only thing we were so exhausted, like mentally.
Oh yeah.
Like insane, and the people and the stuff, like, and we did it shorthanded without a guy, and we were just like burnt out. We were just shut down for a week. I was like, hey, dude, we're going to close for a week. We all need to go on vacation. All right, dude.
Please.
Yeah, no, good.
Best boss in the world.
Yeah, it was a wild time. I'm glad we got through it though. Yeah.
What about sporting goods sparked you to want to be in that industry?
Well, so, going back to Max as a kid, like working there, I wanted to work at Max before, like when I was a little kid racing motorcycles, and like, I always thought, like, I loved fishing. I loved hunting, right? Those were like my passions. Yes, like I was literally fishing. I still do, but it's not quite what it used to be. But it's different because I do it all day, right? At work. So now I go golf, or whatever.
But what was it? Was it like as a kid going to like Max early in the morning, getting, you know what I mean, for opening day for fishing?
So
was it some sort of like magical, you know what I mean, that you can think of that sparked you to be like, oh, this is where I want to be?
For me, it came natural because of the gift to gab or talk to people.
Absolutely.
Right. And then you meet tons of people from all over the place. And then
Connection.
And then like, I remember Dale telling me, like, you're not going to get rich doing it. But at the same time, like, people are happy to come give you money.
Right.
they're happy to come buy a fishing rod. They're
Right.
happy to go fishing.
Right.
So it's a good atmosphere to be in.
Right.
It's not like working at in like CPS or
Yeah.
like some terrible situation,
Right.
law enforcement officer, or some things where you got to deal with some real bad stuff.
Real bad. There's nobody. You're making people's trip.
Right. So like my dad that day is like, I rubbed this rod on a fish. And you're like, no, you didn't. And they're like, yeah, I did. I'm like, okay, well, here's $40 out of my pocket. I'll make it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But like, you know what I mean? Where a bad day for cop is a bad day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You potentially could lose your life, or you could take one of the. Yeah.
Right. Or you have to deal and see stuff that most public don't even understand.
Right.
Right. So that was the main thing, is like, dealing with people glad to give me money, and it's something I love to do, fishing and hunting. Like, what could go wrong?
In your hometown.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah.
Like that's providing. Yeah. See, that's I don't know, man. It's still so crazy to me, boiling back to who you are to me, having that kid with a spark in his eye and watching that fulfill to where you are today, 13 years later. I just got to say that you have always been an inspiration to me.
Well, thank you, man. I love that I can do that, but that's not why I did it. At the same time, like watching you and going through this journey of sobriety, not drinking, doing these things.
Yeah.
And that's why I came up to you the other night. It tells you how proud I was.
Yes, you.
And it doesn't matter that I'm proud, right? Did I not say that? Like, it's about you being a better person, taking care of yourself and doing it and growing.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Well, and like the whole reason, why I started this podcast, and we kind of touched on it before we started recording, is just there's so many people like you, right? With that spark, with that dream, with the wanting to create. You contribute to our economy here locally. You know what I mean? Like, and you fulfill so many people's, like you're making trips happen. They come up here, they can get that power bait. Your store is always incredibly well stocked. You guys have everything you can ever want to make an awesome camping outdoors trip happen here locally. You know what I mean? And like it's huge, dude. Yeah, it's huge, bro. It's fun. Yeah, that's so rap.
It's fun.
It's the hub for outdoor enthusiasts.
Yeah, it's kind of like we got a little bit for everyone. It's like the adult candy store, for but kids, family. It's like
There's nothing better than going into, for me, like you go into a sporting goods store, especially one that is like locally owned, mom and pop. They always smell the same.
right.
They always do.
There's like you can smell the history,
And you go up and you grab that fishing rod, you know what I mean? It's the model that you want. You get your real combo, you throw that thing into voo, 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 and it's just like, or, you're getting that new firearm, you're racking it. It's in your hand. It's physical. Like it's magical, dude. Like sporting is like, that's rad.
it's fun and it isn't good and it's outside and it's healthy and yeah.
Fishmas is still big for us here.
Yeah, it's because all changed. It's died off a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm gonna say it's still big, like, but
Because it's year-round
fishing, not new regulation, but definitely caused it to mean, again, it's like another regulation that adversely, like, unintentionally affected it, and that's made it not what it used to be. But I don't know. Maybe we're picking up the slack somewhere else with the year round.
That's what I was thinking, right? Because it is now year round, you're able to sell those goods year round, right?
Yeah.
So what's that trade-off? Hopefully it's close.
And I think I personally, like, I get it, but I don't like, and I'm glad it's not my job to like come up with those rules, right? But at the end of the day, it's kind of like,
Fish and Wildlife Commission.
I don't ever agree
up with that.
I don't really have a say in it either way. But like, if I agree with it or I don't disagree with it, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do.
Yes.
So I just got to adjust and go with it.
Adapt and overcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Adapt and overcome. The being local, right? What is like the biggest challenges for you for keeping that store open?
I think
Because it's not something, unless you go crazy and you get like to be franchising.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And becoming like an empire of sporting goods, you're never going to get rich in that business.
right. And I think for me, number one is I like I just want to make enough to provide for my family and do a few things. I'm not looking to like go make billions of dollars or whatever. I just want enough to live the simple life,
Sure.
and take care of my people. But the biggest hurdle, I think, for me, I think is unquestionably the internet, and technology,
Right.
right? Where we've gone and we're kind of losing that. We're losing the industry of service.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all available. You don't need to anymore.
Right. So,
Especially in
and the next generation doesn't even know what service is. Like, they don't even know because they just push a button on their phone and they get it delivered to their door and like boom, boom, boom. And like, they don't even, the availability to come into Reagan's and put a knife in your hand and be like, yeah, that's what I want. Well, it might be $5 more or whatever, but you got to touch it and feel it before you bought it. Right. Or you could talk to the old guy with the beard, Mike, and be like, oh, this reel here, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And he put your line on, give you some pointer on how to rig it up and blah, blah, blah. Right. But that's the biggest thing is the technology and it's funny because if you really think about it, like when you used to go to like Rite Aid or like a Walmart or like say you go to
downtown Kmart.
a big box store, like, right? You walk in there and I'm like, do you ever walk in there and be like, this is the best service I've ever had? No. You walk in there like, I don't want to go to Vaughn's today. Like,
Yeah.
like I got to go bag my own groceries and spend $300 and wait in line. Like nobody wants to do that, right? So we've trained society to hate going into stores to buy that stuff.
It's true.
Right? And people don't really talk about it, but we've trained people like that. But we're still trying to create that old time service that, there is a need for it, but you have to accept it and you have to trust it and you have to support it. Like most people just are like, I'm looking at the dollar and that's it, bottom line. And, but it's like, there's more to that. I donate every single day to our community, every single day, whether it's, a Little League or a school function or a church or do whatever. But like Amazon, what do they donate? For real. Right. And that's a community part of it.
And that's why it's super important to support local businesses.
And unfortunately, I see that, and a lot of people in small business see that, but a lot of people that don't work in small business don't understand that.
Yeah, they can't understand that.
Right. Because, and you can't blame them because they just haven't been in that.
Right. But on the flip side of that, what do you think, like, was it your 5-year anniversary? Was it your 10-year anniversary? What moment, like what victory stands out the biggest for your business?
Never really thought of it. Like, honestly, like, I think the first year I worked like 363 days. I took 2 days off, Christmas and Easter. And I think how the Napa parts store was set up, there was a internal wall that I put up. So I had a smaller shop in the front. And I think that when I took down that back wall and expanded it and like tripled the size overnight, that was probably like the biggest win. And that was after like the first year. I think the people around me is probably the biggest victory I have,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's right. The relationships, with Mike,
Yep.
Jason, and God bless, Jeff, Jeff, like Jeff's been a rock, dude. Yeah. And it's like, that one's hitting hard.
Yeah. That's so, oh, it's so, life sometimes is, you just don't understand. No, what I mean? It's unfair at times, bro.
Yep.
It really, truly is.
Sometimes we don't need, we're not supposed to know, but sometimes we figure it out.
Do you have an atypical, like a stereotypical customer that is your favorite that comes through? Like, is it a novice, not doing anything, not knowing anything? Or do you like the seasoned vet who comes in and just bullshits?
Dang, man, that's a tough one. I like them all. Like, even some of the ones that are frustrating, like I'd learn some or grow or whatever. But I think having some of those loyal, good customers that come in all the time that are like, years after years. And I've had a bunch of them follow me from when I worked at Max even, from out of town that have followed me over there.
That was a thing, dude. I remember it being a thing. Who are you gonna go to? You gonna go to Max or you gonna go to Reagan's? That was a thing. It was that thing.
It's funny, like, I wasn't and like, yeah, but like, I think it's cool because I've had like some SoCal, travelers that like have ended up buying houses up here. And I actually sold a house to one of my customers that worked that used to, that's right. You were when I sold real estate, because of Max. And then next thing you know, they're shopping with me for their fishing stuff because they have their house in Aspendale, like, but when I've had like, I mean, the relationships and the people, I think overall, like, yeah, it's pretty rewarding.
So trade shows, as far as like keeping the new hotness of what's popular,
Yeah.
fishing lures and stuff like that. Trade shows are still a thing in your industry.
Trade shows are, they have a bunch of different ones. I kind of avoid the big, like the shop shows or like the iCash shows. Those are like the big ones where everybody goes, and it's kind of like it's more of a big giant party. And there's a lot of big business getting done, but like not small business.
Sure. Like what lures as new and going to work.
So
The Tasmanian Devils.
I usually go to like buy trade shows where I go try to get like the best deal of the year at this, they draw you into the show because of the price, and then you commit to X amount and you buy it and right. Yeah. That's kind of selling you. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's their purpose.
Well, yeah, they're selling me. So then I could go help, fishermen go enjoy the mountains.
Is there still like local, like mom and pop lures that come through and ask to be in your store? Is that still
There is, and it's hard because you want to tell everybody yes, right? But again, like, is this
carrying light products for the same amount?
right? Right. Well, yeah. And what unfortunately, like, like say I have a computer, or say I do my order and I can buy this stuff on a weekly basis from this one distributor, or I have to go through 3 extra steps to go get that to fill my peg
Right.
from the local guy
Right.
that might be in Mexico this week. You know what I mean? Do you see that?
Sure.
So like, unfortunately, like you can't,
It's business.
business is business, and you want to support everybody. But like I do like Sierra Slammers.
Mhm.
It's Jared, I don't know, but I think he owns South Dickens, Ryan. I don't know exactly where he's at, but his buddy Mike, and I think they were partners at one time. I don't even know if they are anymore or whatever, but like it's a local kind of business, and like we've done really good with them. I know they said in the past that we're like their number one retailer, but like that's cool. You can help out, do that. But there's been some other people that have, like, if you say no, they kind of like go trash you. Right? Sure. And it's like, okay, no, cool, dude. I'm used to it. Yeah. Like, trash me. Right. Oh, on a scene smack, I can handle it.
So other than golf, what's your most favorite outdoor activity?
Oh man, I love hunting, bro. Yeah. I love deer hunting. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm up in game still. I shot that buck. It's hard getting a tag these days. You know what I mean? And that, like, one of the how popular hunting has become. It's almost become like an elitist sport in a way, to where you're looking at these Kuiu clothes.
Right.
It's $200 for a pair of pants.
Yeah.
Right. It's $300 for the matching jacket. Yeah. Like it's not like it was when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like when I started hunting and fishing, and I've said it on the show, is because we were poor.
Yeah, it was a poor man's sport, but
Yeah, we were literally supplementing our food.
it is, and it not only is it priced where it's super expensive, but today people, and there's so many more people doing it, but then also most states wildlife numbers are way down.
100%.
You know what I mean? So it's harder, and different. But
Yeah.
I don't even like anymore. I just like going out with my son, or taking my kid, or I took my girlfriend's son out dove hunting for the first time. And I like that's probably the honest thing. That's my favorite hunting is. Yeah, dove hunting is like super fun. And at the end of the day, like I don't even like I just want to be outside. Like, that's why, like, you going on hikes or doing whatever, just getting sunlight, fresh air, being outside, looking at animals,
sitting down on the earth, actual earth, right?
and trying to get into that super, the zone, the super hyper focused zone.
Yeah, it's crazy connection that you can get when you are in nature that you can't get anywhere else. There's no more clarity that I've had than when I'm on, on top of a mountain, up Wacoba in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody around. There's no cell service. It's just me.
Yeah.
Right. It's so, the purity of that moment
Yeah.
is literally indescribable.
Yeah. And then you see something, or you, like, go back into, like, history, and then you're like, whoa, what, dang, dude, some guy lived right here
Yeah.
time, or
Right.
he's like, whoa, like, look at that tree growing out of that rock. That's crazy. How did a bird drop that cement there? What happened there? Like, yeah, you start really getting deep.
Yeah, deep coming across, like, Native American settlements, and some of the first settlers that came through here in stone cabins and stuff like that. You're just like, what? You were here? This is where you were making you happen, was here?
Yeah.
Like, that's a hardened individual.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's why we have so much to complain about it. It's because we have stuff that's so easy and so not hard compared to that,
Everyday carry. You have everyday carry, like something that goes in your pocket all the time, like not necessarily sporting good related, but like just essential gear that you won't leave your house with.
Yeah, I got a pocket knife.
That's it.
Pocket knife is the air blade, and I got this little I carry this little badge, that put the armor of God on.
Yeah.
No coin,
This is a part of your everyday carry. I love that.
Yeah, I try to every day. Try to put the armor on for God.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
Yep. And the knife, I have this little dream of being, killed by a mountain lion.
We all do.
And
a glorious death.
yeah, I think about it, and I kind of cramp sitting in this chair. But yeah, it's pretty good.
So, what do you think is the wildest customer tale living in the Eastern Sierra, having all of the potential for the Bigfoots, for the, the UFOs, like all of those crazy stories that I know you have to hear? Like, what do you think is the wildest one?
Man,
Sasquatch?
it's a tough one. I mean, I got a funny Sasquatch story, but do you remember when I worked in Max, where I took that picture of that bear prey? Of course, told everybody, "Is this him?" Like, I ended up having these guys like look me up, and I think JJ, like,
At the barber shop. Right. I was in there that day.
yeah, and then JJ sent these, like, and
Bigfootologists?
Bigfootologist, and I'm not gonna say there isn't a Bigfoot. I'm saying that these guys were pretty intense, man. They were like telling me, like, like the teenagers had different colored eyes than the adults, and blah blah blah, and like on and on. And it was pretty intense. And I was like trying to be like open, but at the same time I was pretty skeptical.
On the like, it's just knowing that there's Gigantopithecus, right? The North American large ape that lived here.
Yeah.
And with the amount of discovered extinct species that still happen on a monthly basis throughout everywhere. Like, it was somewhere here locally, they found a flower or a lizard or something that they thought didn't exist anymore. And the tree for the little yellow-legged frog, right? The why they're shutting down, why they shut down the
Coyote and
all of that stuff. We had pictures of them in a creek, right? And I was talking to this biologist, and I was like, they're over here too, right? It might not have been the best thing, but he's like, no, they're not. And I'm like, they're in every creek I've been in on that whole watershed side of that range. These ones, they're not as endangered as you think, bro.
Right. But do you remember when they were like, it was the cows that was killing him, or it was the side by sides going through the creek was killing them? Like,
That's why they shove furnace green down.
right. You remember all those things that like and it came back to the guy that was studying it, forgot to clean his instruments the right way or didn't do it right. And he gave them all a disease. But see, unintentionally, we're trying to help, but
Right.
we actually hurt.
But with those discoveries, right, with like them not knowing it, is it possible that Sasquatch could be out there?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna say, I think
What sucks is every single time somebody says they found it, it turns out to be false.
I think, you know, I went to one of the kid that used to work for me, his wedding in Austin, and I went to this like museum, and they had a Sasquatch there. And I was just like, like killing time walking around, and it was like old movie props and different things, and it was like the nice chest of a Bigfoot, and it was pretty funny. But I don't, you know, I've I've been in the mountains a lot, seen a lot, and that being said, like I've seen like 6 or 7 mountain lions, right?
Yeah.
In my life.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in the
Right.
bush,
Right.
and there's a lot more than 6 or 7 mountain lions out there.
There is.
So I'm not saying that there can't be. Me personally, I don't I don't think there's Bigfoot around our mountains. I think if they are, they're probably somewhere like in
The Himalayas or something.
Alaska or
Continental states.
somewhere big, maybe in some big foresty country like up north,
Pacific Northwest.
That's
That's where most of the tales come from.
Yeah, and I could see something like that, but like definitely, I don't think something's like that around here.
What about UFOs? You get any UFO tales in the shop?
Yeah, like UFO tales, like I don't get any of that in the shop, but I
When you see an orb
floating out in Nevada.
would you see an orb floating through the sky?
When you're out in Nevada camping and
Yeah.
elk hunting or deer hunting
Yeah.
or something, and you're like out there in the middle of
Like, why is that star?
what is that? It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, definitely, uh, I think we are like just so unfathomably small that it's almost a whole nother dimension that you can't even imagine.
It's impossible for there not to be more intelligent life in the universe.
Yeah.
Because the universe is so huge.
It's
And especially with the discovery of like, yeah, when something gets sucked into a black hole, it's pretty likely that it goes right out the backside in another Big Bang.
who you should talk to about this is my son,
Oh, for sure.
Wyatt. Dude, he's super, super intelligent, smart kid.
He is just
The best kid. He could go for days on this, and he knows what he's talking
he's
about.
a pilot.
Yeah, he's a pilot. He's flying.
Your son is a pilot.
Yeah,
That's so rad, man.
it's super cool.
Oh man. You personally, we already answered that question. I was gonna say this or that. As far as the business goes, with the downfall of fish miss, do you think that deer season, like an opener for deer, is becoming bigger? As far as revenue goes, or fish miss?
Deer's fish miss is way bigger than the hunting end of them.
Just because it's more available to the public, right?
Yeah, and yeah, hunting is still like very, very small part of my business anymore compared to the fishing.
Sure.
It's they've cut the tags so bad so
Right.
much, like archery. I remember when they cut the tags, archery tags like 70%, maybe like 6-7 years ago. They, that killed my whole archery industry.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's 70% less arrows, bows, broadheads, you name it.
Right. So 70% less revenue.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's do another law. Let's change something else.
It's so crazy, and the whole time they're not trying to control what is affecting the deer population.
No, it's the same old story, same old song and dance, right? Everybody knows what the problem is, but then you got to deal with the politics.
Yeah. Everybody thinks a mountain lion is super majestic until they're in Big Pine killing the cats.
But there's no more deer left. And so that's why they're down to dogs and cats and like goats. And
It's easier.
yeah, dude. And before you know it, it's going to be a little kid. And it is sad to say, but it's true.
For sure.
And that's like, but even then, I think they're going to side with the mountain lion over the human. That's how messed up we are.
It's crazy, man.
Right.
It is. It's a backward society. Like predators have been in check since time has been time. You can't let the scary thing come into your village.
Right. And we're kind of taking notes from nature, like in society. We're letting predators out,
Mm,
you know?
that's a valid point.
Dude, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Like, oh, let's disarm the good people. Let's take away their rights and their protection, and let's let out the bad predators, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, there's only one thing
No,
that can happen.
It's all butterflies and rainbows, son. Yeah.
Life is not butterflies and rainbows
Well, that's what they tell us, right? Oh,
until you got to figure it out, bro.
it's for your safety.
That's bro.
It's for your safety.
Got to nerf the world, bro. Right?
Yeah.
Let's get some nerf, and we'll just nerf the entire world, and everybody will be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Well, I think that like reality is like, the technology is leading us that way to where they could just shut us off, right?
Oh yeah,
You got to have some kind of survival skills in life. Like at the end of the day, you got to be able to live life without
the scariest thing isn't war. The scariest thing is an EMP.
right.
Right.
And all they had to do is wake up and worry about
Keeping the fire lit.
surviving,
Yeah.
so they could get food for tomorrow.
Keeps the fire lit. You must make more shark sticks.
And now we're just like, I got lots of problems. Let me tell you about them, like, because we got millions of problems, right?
Because of man,
Yeah.
when you get so comfortable,
Soft.
yeah,
So soft.
it is.
So easy.
It is. Life is. I mean, it's the easiest. There's a lot of people that are so fearful in the world and the way that the direction the world's going, and it's this, it's that, it's the end of times. But realistically, there hasn't been a longer peaceful unity of the planet than what we've been going through for the past 50 years.
Well, yeah, you even think about like, yeah, just
It's the safest time to travel.
World War II or
Yeah.
like some of that, and then
Right.
or you go to like
Even into the Korean War.
in medicine,
Right.
and different things, like things are. We're gonna always find something to complain about.
For sure.
Always, be worried about something, this, that, the other. But yeah, just gonna wake up every day and go do it.
Yeah, worries. It's so crazy about worries. You know what I mean? Because your mind hijacks you and makes you think of all these insane, plausible situations.
Yeah.
Right. That are going to have adverse effects on your life that couldn't even really potentially exist, but your brain is just constantly pumping those.
Right. Your brain first looks worst case scenario every single time, and then like 95 or 98% or 99% of the time, those problems never come up.
Sure.
But you sit there and worry about them.
Right.
But instead of being able to train yourself to be like, hey, this is just a thought in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in control of these thoughts? Like, who's controlling these thoughts? Like, where are they going? Like, am I benefiting from this anxiety that this is causing?
Right.
Or is it self-sabotage? And then you got to really but you have to learn these things and go through these processes to be able to control that.
Right.
Right.
It starts with self.
Oh, and it does. But then the deeper you dig, it ends up in a higher place.
It always, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
With that faith.
The faith.
Yeah. I had something to say right there too. Corresponding correlation. I heard that. No, it's fine. It's fine. That's just how podcasts go. And I love these spots where I'm just kind of like, I don't even know what I'm going to say now because I had a thought and I forgot it. That's what podcasts are. That's what natural conversation is.
But that's good because that means you're listening.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
That's good.
I couldn't wait. You have been on my mind to bring onto this podcast since the beginning of it.
Oh, cool.
Right? Like,
Glad to be here.
you were one of the ones, and again, it's just like you've been such an inspiration to me, such a rad guy my entire life. I don't really know. I want more people to know who is behind Reagan's, sporting goods and what drives you. Do you have any, do you have anything coming up that you're looking forward to? A trip, a milestone, anybody graduating?
My nephew Garen's graduating. My niece Jordan just graduated college.
Oh my gosh.
I got my driver factory. I got my kids. I got Wyatt and Jesse. My girlfriend and Caitlin,
Mm-hmm.
and I got her kids, Wyatt and Lacey. So we got the little Wyatt and the big Wyatt. You know what I mean?
That's how funny is that, man?
Like, other than that, like, at the end of the day, yeah, just getting like getting through the BS and finding what's real,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's relationships, people, friendships, connection, true, real, authentic. No, I'm not trying to be somebody or trying to impress somebody or this or that. Just 100% authentic, real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of reason why I did this, and it makes me really uncomfortable, especially last week's episode of this, when I just talked, I blacked out about like 5 minutes in. I don't even remember what I said for an hour, and Jimmy was sitting there and he puts his finger up like that, and that means 1 hour. And I was like, oh my God.
How long have we been talking?
Like 20, 30 minutes. I don't know.
I'm sure we're probably scratching close on that hour, but
Yeah.
it's, I just want to, I have things to say, you know what I mean? And I don't think people should necessarily listen to me, but I have been on an incredible journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like it.
And becoming myself again in the direction of just vibrating at your authentic self.
Right. And it starts with yourself and truth.
Yeah.
But also not just telling the truth, but not lying to yourself.
It's the biggest thing.
Right. And people pleasing and different things, and like all these things lead up to lies, and just don't realize how detrimental that is to your personal psyche.
Right.
If you people please and different, but yeah, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to like it. You don't care. Right? Like, it's okay. It's like, I'm gonna be me no matter what.
Yep.
Whether you like it or not.
Cat Williams said it best. He said, why are you worried about your haters? You got 13 haters. You better figure out how to make that 16 before the summer ends.
I like it.
Right? That's beautiful, man.
I always like to finger point, for everybody that's pointing a finger at you, there's 3 pointing back at them.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, and yeah, I love watching it because you mean you're a good dude. I've known you forever. Thank you. Right?
Thank you.
And we all go through these winters and these storms and these things and everything. And that awareness that we were talking about earlier, you see it, but then you come across that crossroad, and you could go decide to be, I'm going to take the victim, like, poor me route.
Right.
Right. Or you can take that route of the higher road and be like, what am I going to do about it?
What are we going to do about it?
What are we going to do about it?
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's what are you going to do about it?
And those crossroads come up a lot.
For sure.
And yeah.
On a daily basis.
All the time. And you just got to remember, like, I don't want to be that victim. I don't want to, there's a lot of real victims out there that don't choose to be there.
For sure.
Why am I going to choose to be there?
Why do you want to choose to be there?
Yes.
No. Woo! Cramping?
Getting it.
All right, bro. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Reagan, Slee. Again, just an absolute inspiration, absolute beautiful human that you are. I thank you for your time today. And this is a wrap. Got anything else to say?
Love you.
I love you, man.
Yeah.
And this is it.
3, 2, 1, here we go!